Ladies and gentlemen, let's get one thing straight. You don't need more hours in the day. You need better focus. Most people think they're stuck because they lack time, money, or resources, but that's not the truth. They're stuck because they're focusing on the wrong things. You don't move forward when you're busy with everything. You move forward when you're clear on the one thing that truly matters and you put your full weight behind it. We live in a world obsessed with multitasking. Everyone's juggling emails, side hustles, deadlines, social media, and burnout. But here's the truth. High performers aren't doing more, they're doing less, with more intention. They know what matters most and they give it their all. They don't chase every shiny idea, they chase alignment, and that's what makes the difference between a scattered week and a breakthrough month. When you focus on the right thing, your decisions get faster, your team gets clearer, your calendar stops being a war zone. But when you let distractions set your agenda, when you're reacting instead of directing, you start to drift. You confuse motion with progress. You get caught in loops instead of launching momentum. So here's my question to you. Are you focused or are you just active? You don't need a 10-step plan. You need one clear target. What is the one result that, if you achieved it this quarter, would make everything else easier or unnecessary? That's the right thing. Now ask yourself, are your habits, your energy, and your conversations aligned with that goal? If not, then your results are already being decided by what you're tolerating. This isn't about hustle, this is about precision. When you focus on the right thing, your effort compounds. When you're aligned, you feel it in your energy, in your clarity, in your confidence. You're not overwhelmed, you're locked in. That's when progress stops being accidental and starts being predictable. So stop saying yes to every demand that comes your way. Stop solving problems that don't belong to you. Stop proving yourself in rooms that aren't aligned with your future. Instead, focus. Focus on the one thing that moves the needle, and then go all in. That's how you win. That's how you lead. That's how you build something that lasts. Focus isn't a discipline, it's a power move. Use it. Clarity kills confusion because it gives your goals a face, your actions a direction, and your team a shared language. When you lack clarity, everything feels urgent and important. You respond to noise, not necessity. You jump from task to task hoping something sticks, and you wonder why results aren't consistent. But clarity changes the game. Clarity isn't just knowing what you want. It's knowing what you're not willing to entertain anymore. It draws a line in the sand. It says, this is who we are, this is what we're building, this is how we behave. When that line is clear, decision making becomes fast and powerful. You're no longer second, guessing yourself or waiting for perfect conditions. You move. Leaders who operate without clarity are dangerous, not because they mean harm, but because they unintentionally create chaos. One day the team is chasing sales, the next day it's brand, the week after it's hiring. The team never knows where to anchor their energy, so everything feels like it's on fire. That's what a lack of clarity creates: burnout and blame. But when you lead with clarity, you give people confidence. You help them prioritize. You eliminate unnecessary complexity. You stop bleeding time and energy into decisions that should have already been made. Clarity is also the antidote to overwhelm. When you know exactly what the right thing is, you stop chasing everything else. You don't panic when someone else grows faster, posts more, or pivots quicker. You don't feel the need to be everywhere and everything to everyone. You stay in your lane, and because of that, you go farther. The people who win aren't the ones who do the most. They're the ones who do the right things consistently, deliberately, and without apology. The clearer you are, the more powerful you become. You stop tolerating distractions disguised as opportunities. You stop giving energy to misaligned partnerships. You stop explaining your choices to people who don't carry your vision. That level of clarity unlocks speed, it builds trust, it creates momentum, and when your team feels that kind of direction from you, they rise. They step up, they match your clarity with their own effort, and together you stop guessing and start building. That's the difference, that's the power of clarity. Busyness is not productivity, and yet it's one of the biggest traps professionals, entrepreneurs, and leaders fall into every single day. We wear our calendars like badges of honor, filled with back-to-back meetings, endless to-do lists, and 1,000 micro decisions that keep us feeling important but not necessarily effective. The truth is, being busy can actually hide your lack of impact. It creates the illusion of momentum while your actual goals remain untouched. Just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're doing what matters. Activity is not the same as achievement, and until you understand that, you'll stay stuck in the cycle of burnout disguised as progress. True productivity starts with prioritization. It begins when you stop asking, "What do I have to get done today?" and start asking, "What should I get done today that will actually move the needle?" It means filtering out noise, ignoring unnecessary urgency, and saying no to distractions even when they're disguised as exciting opportunities. Productivity is boring sometimes. It's not the chaos of doing everything. It's the discipline of doing the right thing again and again. And in that discipline, real growth happens. There's a major difference between being available and being valuable. When you're constantly reacting, constantly checking in, constantly jumping from one small fire to the next, you're available, but you're not necessarily delivering value. Leaders aren't paid to be busy. They're paid to create outcomes, and outcomes don't come from doing everything, they come from doing the right things with precision. You need to step back and ask yourself, is the way I'm spending my time reflective of where I want to go? Or is it just a reflection of what I'm avoiding? Busy people check boxes. Productive people build futures. When you can start to recognize that difference, you unlock a whole new level of intentionality. You don't say yes to everything. You don't attend meetings without purpose. You don't start tasks without knowing how they align with your bigger picture. You respect your time, your energy, your focus, and by doing so, others begin to respect it too. That's the shift. That's the difference between staying stuck and scaling forward. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by how busy you are, stop and ask yourself, am I producing results or just performing activity? Only one of those will build the business, the career, and the life you actually want. The right focus builds momentum because it channels your energy into meaningful progress instead of scattering it across distractions. When you're dialed in on the right thing, even your smallest actions start compounding into major wins. Focus isn't just about discipline, it's about choosing where your energy goes and refusing to waste it on things that don't align with your vision. Most people are busy trying to do a little bit of everything, hoping that something eventually works. But the people who actually move fast, grow strong, and rise above the noise are those who commit fully to one clear direction. That commitment creates momentum. It builds consistency. It trains your mind and your team to stop second, guessing, and start producing. Momentum is what happens when effort meets alignment. You're no longer spending time asking, "What should I do today?" or "Where should I focus?" because you already know. You've identified what matters most, and now everything you do either supports that goal or gets eliminated. And once you begin to build momentum, it becomes easier to keep going. You wake up with more clarity. You make faster decisions. Your energy doesn't drain from debating priorities all day, it gets funneled into forward movement. This is how you go from making plans to making progress. The people who make the biggest impact are not necessarily the ones with the most talent, resources, or time. They're the ones who know exactly what they're working toward, and they don't allow anything to pull them off track. The truth is, momentum isn't accidental, it's built through hundreds of intentional, aligned actions that are all pointed in the same direction. And every time you say no to something that doesn't serve your focus, you're actually saying yes to acceleration. You're giving yourself permission to move, to grow, to gain speed. That's why the right focus is so powerful. It doesn't just help you work better, it changes the entire pace and energy of your journey. You stop dragging yourself through the day and start showing up with purpose. You stop reacting and start leading. And once that momentum takes over, you become unstoppable, not because you're doing more, but because you're doing the right thing over and over until results become inevitable. Distractions are disguised delays because they don't show up waving red flags, they show up looking urgent, exciting, or even productive. But their true cost is time, energy, and progress. Most people don't realize how easily they trade their goals for moments of distraction. A quick scroll on your phone, a meeting that shouldn't have been accepted, a project that looks interesting but doesn't align with your priorities. These are all distractions dressed as opportunities. And over time, they stack up and pull you away from what actually moves you forward. Every minute you give to something that isn't connected to your mission is a minute stolen from your future. That's the truth no one wants to hear because distractions feel good in the moment. They make you feel busy, they let you avoid discomfort, but they're expensive, and the longer you entertain them, the longer you delay your results. High performers understand that focus isn't just about discipline, it's about protecting your priorities. You need to create boundaries around your energy like your success depends on it, because it does. You don't get clarity by accident. You don't stay aligned just because you want to. You have to fight for it. That means saying no more often than yes. That means recognizing when something is pulling your attention for the wrong reasons. It might be exciting, it might be flattering, it might even look like progress, but if it doesn't serve your goal, it's a delay. The problem is, most distractions aren't obvious. They feel like things you should do, replying to every message, jumping into every call, pivoting because someone else is doing something trendy. But you're not here to chase trends, you're here to build legacy. And legacy requires intention, so you have to train your mind to question everything. Does this serve the result I'm committed to? Is this aligned with what I say matters most? Or is this just another delay that's going to keep me exactly where I am? You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be intentional. Every time you resist a distraction, you reclaim your momentum. Every time you say no to something that isn't aligned, you say yes to something that is. And over time, that commitment compounds. That's how results are built, not through constant activity, but through focused, intentional action that refuses to get sidetracked. High achievers choose priorities, not pressure, because they understand that success isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the right things with clarity and confidence. Most people fall into the trap of pressure. They say yes to everything because they don't want to disappoint others, miss out, or look like they're not working hard enough. But pressure without priority is chaos. It keeps you spinning, overwhelmed, and disconnected from your actual goals. High performers don't live there. They don't let pressure dictate their schedule, their strategy, or their mindset. They build structure around their goals, they take control of their time, and they protect it like it's the foundation of everything they're building, because it is. When you choose priorities, you give yourself permission to slow down where it counts and speed up where it matters. You're no longer trying to impress people with your busyness, you're committed to impressing yourself with your follow-through. That shift in perspective is powerful. It takes you from reactive to proactive. You're not just putting out fires, you're designing a future. And every decision, every commitment, every block of time on your calendar reflects that. Pressure tells you to do more, faster, louder. Priority tells you to do less, better, deeper. High achievers don't let urgency override intention. They know what matters most, and they're willing to protect it even if it means saying no to good things, fun things, or popular things. They are clear on what moves the needle, and they let that clarity drive their day. That's not weakness, that's leadership. That's strategy. It takes courage to choose priorities in a world that rewards pressure. It takes self-awareness to say, just because I can doesn't mean I should, but that's the mindset that builds real, sustainable success, not burnout, not chaos, success built on focused action, not frantic energy. If you want to lead at the next level, you have to stop glorifying pressure and start honoring your priorities. Your results will always reveal what you've been choosing: noise or alignment, reaction or intention, pressure or priority. And when you start choosing right, not easy, not urgent, but right, everything starts to shift. You stop surviving your schedule and you start owning your outcomes.